Industrialization, Society, and Social Classes. Aims. The aims of this podcast are for students to be able to analyze the social and economic effects on industrialization, examine growing tensions between the middle and working classes, and finally, to identify positive effects of the Industrial Revolution. Industrial cities rise. The factory system changed rural society with a shift towards urban society. Between 1800 and 1850, many European cities had populations over 100,000. This growth is known as urbanization. Many cities grew up around clusters, such as water or coal mines. The largest of these cities during this time was London. Living conditions. There were limited sanitary or building codes during this time. Adequate housing, education, and police protection were lacking. Unpaved streets had no drains, and garbage collected in heaps along the side of the road. Workers lived in dark, dirty shelters with whole families crowded into one bedroom. Sickness and epidemics such as cholera were widespread. The average lifespan of someone living in the city was 17 years compared to 38 in rural areas. Mary Gaskell's book, Mary Burton, written in 1848, presented an accurate portrayal of urban life. However, well-to-do merchants and factory owners often built luxurious homes in the suburbs. The picture to the right shows one of the homes built during this time. Working conditions. The average worker spent 14 hours a day, 6 days a week at the job. Many workers would become injured on the job because factories were not well lit or clean and there were dangers working with the machines. Coal mines were the most dangerous, with frequent accidents, damp conditions, and breathing in of coal dust. The picture on the right shows a coal worker manually pulling a load of coal to the surface. Class tensions. The middle class. The middle class was made up of skilled workers, professionals, business people, and wealthy farmers. Also, the middle class transformed the social structure. Landowners and aristocrats held most of the power, but the upper middle class was becoming wealthier than them. Landowners looked down on those who made their fortunes in the vulgar business world. The middle class grows. The upper middle class consists of government employees, doctors, lawyers, and managers of factories, mines, and shops. The lower middle class included factory overseers and skilled workers such as tool makers, mechanical drafters, and printers. The working class. The working class included laborers, saw little improvement in their living conditions. Their livelihoods disappeared as machines replaced them. The Luddites, who were anti-industrialization, attacked whole factories in northern England, and then mobs of workers rioted because of poor living and working conditions during this time. Positive effects of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution created jobs for workers, contributed to the wealth of the nation, fostered technological progress and invention, increased production of goods, raised the standard of living, provided hope of improvement in people's lives, provided healthier diets, eventually allowed for better housing, allowed for cheaper clothing, created a demand for engineers, clerical and professional workers, and eventually expanded educational opportunities. Long-term effects of the Industrial Revolution. Most people could afford consumer goods that would be previously considered luxuries. Living and working conditions have improved, and finally, urban improvements raised the standard of living of most people living in cities. This concludes the notes for Industrialization, Society, and Social Classes.